Hey guys, what's going on? It's Codiak here, and patch 7.1.5 is right around the corner, and today I want to take a look at all of the changes coming to the Marksmanship Hunter in that patch. Now, a lot of change is coming to the Hunter. Our talents, our builds, everything that we know about the Hunters is about to get turned on its head. And that is because there is a drastic change to the way that Vulnerable and our rotation all work together. So let's start with the major changes. This is not a number crunch, this is not a SimCraft video, because there's such little data out there right now that we have to wait and see how it all unfolds in the live. Now, our main theory crafter, Azur, on the Hunter Discord is working probably around the clock to make sure that we figure out exactly how to play the class. But for now, let's talk about the changes that are coming to the Hunter. As many of you guys know, Sidewinders, Aimshot, Markshot, that's the core of our rotation. But there's going to be some drastic changes to those abilities coming in patch 7.1.5. So let's start there. First thing is Sidewinders. As we all know, Sidewinders gains us 50 focus in live, but that is changing. Sidewinders is only going to generate 35 focus in patch 7.1.5. No changes to damage or any of its nature other than the fact that it doesn't generate as much focus. Now, the other talent that interplays with Sidewinders is Patient Sniper. So let me read you what Patient Sniper is currently in the live iteration. Gain the patience of a veteran sniper, increasing your maximum focus by 30 and causing Vulnerable to increase your mark shot and aim shot damage by 150, but only lasts 6 seconds and no longer stacks. So that's the patient sniper that we're used to. Here is the change in patch 7.1.5. Gain the patience of a veteran sniper, increasing the damage bonus of Vulnerable by 15% every 1 second. So very big change. No longer an increased focus pool, and it's on a 1 second damage buff bonus increase every 15%. So very big change coming to the patient sniper buff. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we're going to be playing a new talent build? Are we going to be taking trick shot instead of sidewinders? Are we going to be taking something else in the patient sniper tier? There's a lot of changes that are coming to those abilities. Let's also look at some of the lesser abilities, lesser talents that maybe influences your gameplay, but at the moment don't have very much impact on the rating situation. So the first one is Black Arrow. The cost change is from 40 focus to 10 focus, so a lot less focus to fire black arrows. Explosive Shot, it was a no focus ability. It's moving to 20 focus. That's the major change there. True Aim. Each successive arcane shot or aim shot fired at the same target increases the damage those shots deal to the target by 2%, stacking up to 10 times. That's up from 8. So a little bit of a buff to True Aim. Barrage, not much has changed in the way of its damage, but it's kind of interesting to look at if you look at the patch notes right now. All it says and all it has changed is that it fires to all enemies in front of you. Obviously, there's been some issues with Barrage in this expansion, hitting targets above and below, and they've been working on trying to make Barrage work. So there is definitely going to be a little bit of a change to Barrage. It's kind of hard to tell at the moment what that change is going to be. There is a change to Piercing Shot. Piercing Shot is getting a damage nerf, so it's going from 675% physical damage down to 500%. And its damage increased against targets with Vulnerable. So it's like a nerf in the numbers. And then they say that the damage is going to be increased against targets with Vulnerable. So maybe that's obviously a buff in some capacity. They don't give any numbers behind that, so that's a little interesting. The next one that's changing is Sentinel. Now, Sentinel was an ability that you could take, a talent that you could take, and you could apply Hunter's Mark to all enemies near the target. The change to Sentinel is actually that your Sentinel watches over a target area for 20 seconds, applying Hunter's Mark to all enemies every 10 seconds. So it's really interesting because basically you're going to be casting Sentinel as an AoE ability and waiting for Hunter's Mark to proc on all enemies. So it may have some application in an AoE situation, but at this point it definitely doesn't. And the last change is coming to Steady Focus. Using Arcane or Multi-Shot 2 times in a row increases your focus regeneration by 25% for 12 seconds. That is down from 3 times in a row, so a little bit of a buff there. Definitely going to get a little bit more focus, a little bit faster. Now, there are also some changes coming to our abilities and the interplay of our abilities, and this is really important, guys. The main one is that Aimshot, our bread and butter, is getting a significant buff from 204% of physical damage up to 300% physical damage. That is a big buff. Now, it also, the damage is increased by 100% against a target you have not damaged yet. So your initial, say, priority targets in a raid, say you're on Odin and you're switching to one of the ads, you're going to do 100% increased damage to a target that you haven't damaged yet. So that's really exciting. Obviously, a big change to the way that Aimshot works. There's a little bit of a buff to Bursting Shot, from 40% physical damage to 60%. There is also a buff to Arcane Shot from 130% arcane damage to 200% arcane damage. There is no change in the focus generation, so pure damage buffs on Aim Shot, Bursting Shot, and Arcane Shot. Obviously, Bursting Shot is not something that we use very often, but the changes to Aim Shot and Arcane Shot are obviously going to have a big impact on us. Let's see here. There's a small change to Disengage. It's now available at level 45, up from level 8, so that's nothing that's really going to impact the Raiders. Hunter's Mark. So the proc rate seems to have been buffed. So it says approximately 6.5 procs per minute. Now, it was up from 5 procs per minute, so hopefully we're going to be seeing a larger chunk of Hunter's Marks on our targets. And here's the big one, guys. Here's the one I'm very excited about. Mark Shot. Rapidly fire shots at all your targets with your Hunter's Mark, dealing 450% physical damage and making them vulnerable for 6 seconds. Damage taken from Aim Shot increased by 100% for 6 seconds. So this is a big change coming to Mark Shot. Now, the initial damage used to be 250%. That's going up to 450%. The vulnerable time is going down. You said it used to be 30 seconds. That's obviously not right. Vulnerable was only 6 seconds before that. And the damage taken from Aim Shot increased by 100%. Now, this used to be Mark Shot and Aim Shot. It's now just Aim Shot. So that's really important, guys. This is going to change a lot. And what they're trying to do here, is minimize the importance of hitting it within your vulnerable window. Obviously, we all know that at this point in the game, we're trying to maximize these vulnerable windows of 6 seconds. We're trying to get Aim Shots weaved in, and then we're trying to end with a Mark Shot. So Mark Shot is actually going to not have that damage increase in the vulnerable windows, which means that Aim Shot is going to be even more important in the vulnerable window. Huge change for us. That's going to require a lot of time to figure out how it fits into our rotation when we're casting it. It's going to be a major change. Let's keep going here. Just a couple more things. Multi-shot, we all know and love it, but we haven't used it in a while, especially if you're playing the raiding build with Sidewinders. It's getting a pure damage increase from 66% to 100%. And then Marksman's Focus, which increases our maximum focus by 20, is just going up to level 44, and that was up from level 36. So not a big change in the raiding situation. But guys, as we know, right now, we're taking Sidewinder's Patient Sniper. If you're in any kind of high-end rating capacity, that is what you're taking to be a Marksmanship Hunter. That is changing dramatically, and we need to be ready to handle those changes when they come. So I just want to read you a little bit of an excerpt here. Somebody posted this on the Blizzard forums, and Blizzard responded, and I just want to read it to you guys now. This is a further exacerbation in 7.1.5. Patient Sniper no longer provides an increased focus pool, and Sidewinders generates only 35 focus. With that in mind, and considering the passive focus generation of 15 per GCD, hunters are required to maintain at least 21.5% haste in order to generate enough focus to fire 3 aim shots during the vulnerable period. Firing a third aim shot during vulnerable, especially with the new Patient Sniper design, is a huge DPS increase. 21.5% haste will essentially be required for Marksmanship Hunters. This is a hard breakpoint and should be eliminated before patch 7.1.5 goes live. Now, let me break that down for you guys. The way that Patient Sniper, the way that Sidewinders, and Aimshot all work now, Aimshot is the bread and butter with the huge damage increase from 250% up to 450%. Aimshot is what you're going to want to use in the vulnerable period. It's not as important to get off that Mark Shot because Mark Shot's no longer gaining a DPS bonus in that vulnerable period. So what he's saying in this post is that getting that 21.5% haste is a hard cap, which means getting to that is essential to firing off that third aim shot within the vulnerable period. If you're not at that cap, you're not going to be able to fire that third aim shot. So let me just read to you Blizzard's response. There's a lot of discussion here. Some we agree with and some we don't, but I want to swing by at least on this specific observation. We agree. We don't want a major breakpoint between 2 and 3 aim shots after a mark shot. At least not a middling amount like 21% haste that will affect gear choice throughout the expansion. We're not decided on a fix yet, in particular whether the standard amount should be 2 aim shots after a mark shot or 3. If 2, it would still be okay to have 3 during Bloodlust and similar situations. The ability would be tuned around whichever option. 2 has some advantages, like concentrating the vulnerable burst more, requiring standing still for less time to fully utilize it, and potentially having enough leeway for an instant before one of the aim shots. Now, what they're saying in this response is that they don't obviously want that 21% haste cap, because that's going to determine how we gear, right? That's going to determine stacking haste until we get to that breakpoint. And obviously they don't want that. It is part of the way that the game works that there are plenty of classes that have haste breakpoints like that, but at the moment they don't want that for hunters. Now, the real choice is, they're going to adjust it so that we cannot possibly get 3 aim shots in, or are they going to make it easier to get 3 aim shots in? They still need to figure that out. As I said, aim shot is definitely going to be a heavy hitter in the next patch because of the increased damage bonus, but we're going to have to see how it interplays with the other abilities. Now, like I said, there haven't been many changes to the Sidewinder's tier other than actually Sidewinders, right? Piercing shot had a little bit of a nerf, but kind of a gain with the question mark still doing more damage to vulnerable targets, but there is no change to trick shot. So that final tier of talents is going to be a question mark until we can see the numbers and see where we're going to be gaining the most benefits. A lot of changes coming to the way that we play the Marksmanship Hunter. I do not know what's going to be best. I will be very honest with you guys. Many of the hunters that play this game on a daily basis do not know what to expect. Our main theory crafter, Azure, is obviously working very hard to make sure that we are not in the dark when 7.1.5 comes out. I want to pivot quickly and talk about set bonuses in the upcoming patches. Now, obviously, Nighthold is coming out, and that means the first raid tier in the Legion expansion pack. And there is some big controversy about the Marksmanship set bonuses coming out. Now, that's because if you were on Reddit recently, this past week or 2 weeks, you would have seen a power chart. And that just basically shows the gains, the suspected power gains from 0 to 2 pieces and 2 pieces to 4 pieces for each of the classes and specs. Marksmanship Hunter was by far and none the most power gained class of all of the classes in the game, going to some absurd amount like a 25% increased power gain with our 4-piece bonus from 0 to 4 pieces. Now that's unheard of. That is a huge gain, but that has been changed. And that's really upsetting because at the moment, Marksmanship Hunter, it's a little clunky, it's a little boring, and it's definitely not performing as well as it should be. Now, obviously, with the changes coming to the damage output of Mark Shot and Aim Shot, we could be seeing a buff. We could be. We won't know until we see the numbers. But let's talk about the tier bonuses really quick. So our 2-piece bonus is every 20 focus you spend reduces the cooldown of True Shot by 1 second. Now, this is obviously playing into the relics that we want to try and get and some of the legendaries that we have. If you have the Snow Feather shoes, you know exactly how this type of effect works, and that's really great. That's still focusing on getting our more true shots in during a fight. So that 2-piece bonus is very good. The next one, however, the 4-piece bonus, is where all the controversy was. The old iteration of the 4-piece bonus was this: True Shot also reduces the cost of all your focus spenders by 50%. That means aim shots upon aim shots upon aim shots. That means a massive amount, somewhere in the realm of 4 to 6 aim shots within one burst period. That was significantly nerfed. True Shot will also reduce the cost of all your focus spenders by 15%. That's the new iteration of the 4-piece bonus. Still good, but definitely not a massive game changer. Just so you guys know, those set bonuses are decent for the Marksmanship Hunter, but as usual, without seeing the numbers, it's very hard to tell. There are some great set bonuses for other classes, such as the Subtlety Rogue, the Arms Warrior. There's a few other ones out there that I can't remember right now, but the Marksmanship Hunter is still floated as one of the best sets right now. So we will see how that all interplays in the upcoming patch. And I actually want to talk about one more thing. I want to talk about the Legendaries coming in patch 7.1.5, specifically the Marksmanship one. It's the Mark II Gyroscopic Stabilizer. Your aim shots grant you Gyroscopic Stabilization, increasing the critical strike chance of your next aim shot by 15% and making it castable while moving. Now, I don't know about you guys, I loved the 4-piece set bonus in HFC where we could move and cast Aimshot. The freedom to not be a turret was a beautiful, beautiful thing. We could switch to priority adds, we could dance around the room, we could handle mechanics. At the moment, I feel like a turret, and I feel very, very cumbersome to my raid team, especially on fights that require a lot of micro movement, like Cenarius and Odin, where I'm constantly having to check my position based on what's going on in the encounter. So the way that gyroscopic stabilization works is that you're gaining this insane amount of crit chance on your next aim shot. Obviously, Aimshot is going to be a huge heavy hitter with that 450% physical damage bonus, but it also makes it castable while moving, and that's why I think that gyroscopic stabilizer could be a huge game changer in 7.1.5. Now, it's not a huge bonus to your haste because it doesn't have any haste. It's a crit and mastery hand. So you're not getting moving towards that 21.5% hard cap that we talked about, but it does have mastery and it does have crit, which makes our aim shots hit harder. Now, aim shot is going to be the bread and butter of the patch 7.1.5 and patch 7.2. So I really think that's going to be a game changer in the way that we play, in the way that we interact with these legendaries. I also want to talk about the Snow Feather Shoes, which is gaining a slight nerf. Anybody who has the Snow Feather Shoes or knows about the Snow Feather Shoes knows that the remaining cooldown of your true shot is reduced by 1 second each time you cast a damaging shot. So that is being changed. Instead of a 1 second reduction, it's going down to a 0.8 second reduction. So a slight nerf to the Snow Feather Shoes. Nothing super, super crazy, but there you go. So a little change to that as well. So, guys, some really, really important changes coming up in patch 7.1.5. A lot of it is going to depend on the numbers. A lot of it's going to depend on how we build our characters in the next patch and what's going to make us effective for Nighthold. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, or see any new information out there, please write them in the comments so we can keep this discussion going. If you haven't already subscribed to the Hunter Discord, I'll put a link in the comments below, which will help you get started and follow kind of the changes as they're happening. Our class is one of those classes that doesn't have a wide variety of theory crafters, say like the priests or the mages, but we do have a very good theory crafter in Azure, and he will help us figure out exactly what we need to do in patch 7.1.5. And hey, don't forget, I'm going to be coming back with a new video in patch 7.1.5 with all of the changes and how to play the class the best possible way in a raid environment. My name is Codiak. This has been another video for Exiled Power. If you've liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.